Good evening, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Programs of province governments for girls stranded, project halted for 2 years in Karnali. Bicycle distribution stops in Madhes after corruption case. Parliamentarians register amendment to serve interest on topics not proposed by the government. Speaker of the House also involved in collusion with Parliament officials. Government not responding to questions raised at the Parliament. Opposition seeks the presence of Prime Minister. Premier Dahal not happy following criticisms. And Nepal secured a 3-run win over Namibia at the triangular T20 International Series to take on the Netherlands tomorrow. Bank account for daughters for secure life program introduced by the Karnali province government with much significance 5 years ago is now stranded. The province government had introduced the policy of opening bank accounts of girls born after 17 July 2019 with an initial deposit of 1,000 rupees followed by 500 rupees each month for a period of 20 years through the local levels. The program introduced with the objective of ensuring independence of daughters has remained halted for the past 2 years. With the ambitious plan of putting an end to discrimination against daughters, curbing child marriage and ensuring higher education, Karnali province government had introduced the Bank Account for Daughters for Secure Life program 5 years ago. The program had aimed to deposit 500 rupees each month in accounts of up to 2 daughters of a family for a period of 20 years, promoting higher education and curbing marriage before the age of 20 years. In the initial years of the program, the province government had allocated 70 million rupees in budget, which was increased to 126 million in the fiscal year 2020-21, 160 million in 2021-22, and 200 million in 2022-23. Despite allocating tens of millions of rupees, the government has not released funds to the local levels in the past 2 years. Despite allocating 250 million rupees for the program for the ongoing fiscal year, the government has said it will ensure regular implementation following revisions in the modality of the program. Members of the Provincial Assembly have said that the program was halted because of the government not taking the ownership of the program considered important for the daughters in Karnali. The government, which opened bank accounts of 41,572 daughters in 3 years, does not have records of expenditure. Based on the working procedure, the government is to deposit 121,000 rupees in the bank account of one daughter in the entire period of 20 years, while the daughter would have withdrawn around 200,000 rupees, including interests, after reaching the age of 20 years. However, despite reaching 20 years, the daughters would not have been eligible to withdraw the amount if they had not completed higher education and were married before the legal age. Meanwhile, the arrangement allows withdrawal of funds in case of death of the account holder. Amount can be withdrawn before the period of 20 years in cases of serious illness, injury, or the death of parents and guardians, leading to financial hardships. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we asked, what is your take on the race to construct airports without adequate study? 63% were for A, policy corruption, 33% were for B, politics for vote, and 4% were for C, result of public pressure. Here is our today's question. Why have province governments' projects focused on girls not being successful? Your options are A, corruption, B, lack of commitment, and C, inadequate budget. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, a few parliamentarians have made secret efforts to formulate laws to favor a few interest groups by evading Nepal's parliamentary procedures. A specific procedure must be followed for formulation of laws for state operation. Parliamentarians from both ruling and opposition parties have made effort to file exactly same amendments in the articles of the bill introduced to amend the Nepal Act, not proposed by the government. Parliamentarians have presented amendments in topics other than those proposed by the government in collusion with the parliament officials. With the objective of amending 79 acts together, the government had introduced Nepal Act Amendment bill. Amendment has been proposed for parts of the Federal Parliamentarian Secretariat Act 2007 that are its implementation and local levels. The parliamentarians can only file amendments if they disagree on the terminologies. However, ruling and opposition parliamentarians have registered amendments for laws other than these two parts. The parliamentarians have filed amendment regarding the facilities for the officials and staffers of the federal parliament. But the government had made no proposals for amendment of this law. Amendments cannot be registered on proposals not put forward through the regulations of the House of Representatives. The amendments registered by the registering parliamentarians are exactly the same. This is an evidence to the fact that an illegal effort was made to amend the Act in collusion. The major reason for proposing amendment in collusion in a topic which could not be proposed is to benefit the political appointments at the Federal Parliament Secretariat and those who have not been promoted because of their lack of academic qualifications. The amendment proposed by the parliamentarians notes that officials retiring in 15 years will be eligible for pension. Based on the current arrangement, for an official to be eligible for pension, they must serve for 20 years. Secretary General of the House of Representatives Padma Prasad Pandey and Secretary Rosnath Pandey will be directly benefited by these amendments. Secretary General Padma Prasad Pandey's term expires 2 years before regular retirement, and that of Secretary Rosnath Pandey concludes 4 years prior. Based on the amendment filed by the parliamentarians, both of them will be eligible for pension, which the current provision does not allow. The amendments are to be presented at the Parliament only after they are certified by the Speaker. Meanwhile, the Speaker has certified the amendment without any revisions, which hints towards possible involvement of the Speaker in collusion as well. The parliamentarians who have registered the amendment against the law have said that they have done so on the request of the officials of the Parliament Secretariat. A few parliamentarians did not share their opinion because of the fear of being criticized. Legal experts have termed this act of the Parliament officials unfortunate. In addition to this, there are several other bills where amendments have been registered on topics that have not been proposed. The parliamentarians have been accepting that them filing such amendments was a wrong move. Involvement of the Federal Parliament Secretary General and Speaker in amendments benefiting certain individuals and interest groups is an irresponsible act and an example of policy corruption. Absence of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal was questioned at the meeting of the House of Representatives by parliamentarians of main opposition CPI-UML. Prime Minister Dahal was not present at today's meeting of the House of Representatives, saying the Prime Minister had not furnished answers to the questions raised at the Parliament. Even after ruling issued by the Speaker, UML parliamentarians questioned the absence of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal. UML parliamentarian Surya Thapa said that their protest would continue until the disputed ministers furnished their resignations. After the UML parliamentarians protested, Speaker Devraj Ghimire ruled the government to furnish answers to questions raised at the Parliament during the meeting of the House of Representatives slated for 4th March. The parliamentarians of the opposition parties were prepared to let the Parliament meeting move forward after the Speaker ruled the government to respond to issues including resignation of disputed ministers and problems of the financial sector. Rajendra Lingden of Rashtriya Prajatantra Party alleged the government of lacking seriousness towards the issues of those who had arrived in the capital with their financial problems. Prior to this, the government was to furnish responses to issues raised at the Parliament today. However, after the government ignored the process, the Speaker issued yet another ruling. The parliamentarians have also drawn the government attention towards the problems of victims of loan sharks and microfinances. Meanwhile, today's meeting of the National Assembly has endorsed the anti-money laundering bill. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal's recent statements reflect his dissatisfaction towards the performance of everyone. He has not appeared satisfied even in 14 months of leading the government. While assuming office, Prime Minister Dahal had said that he really wanted to perform in this third term as the Premier. However, he has only been sharing his grievances of late. Prime Minister Dahal has openly begun sharing his dissatisfaction with the ministers, officials and leaders of political parties. Considering the remarks being made by Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal, he appears very dissatisfied. At the Policies Program and Budget Assessment Program of the ongoing fiscal year on Thursday, Prime Minister Dahal shared his dissatisfaction about poor performance with the ministers and secretaries. Saying Singh Darbar had not played an active role in expediting development works, he hinted towards lack of support from the ministers and secretaries. Prime Minister Dahal has made such remarks in the past as well, but has failed in improving the performance of the government. In the public statement he had issued on the occasion of 1 year of his term, Dahal had expressed his frustrations with the ministers and had warned of taking actions against those failing to perform. Prime Minister Dahal has yet to ensure improvement in the national economy. Hundreds of youths are compelled to leave the country in absence of employment opportunities. The government does not have concrete plans to solve these issues. But Prime Minister Dahal also appeared not happy with those leaving Nepal to seek better education and employment abroad and said that a narrative was being developed against the conditions in the country. While the Prime Minister's stance on everyone needing to do their part for developing a positive perception towards the country is very correct, it is the responsibility of the executive head to create a conducive environment for the same, in which he has been failing severely. It is the Prime Minister's task to ensure good performance of the ministers and the officials. However, Premier Dahal has not seen his weaknesses in these aspects. Dahal has been complaining about his alliances, officials and the public and appears frustrated with his own party leaders and cadres. Dahal has been alleging his party leaders and cadres of lacking seriousness. At a time when Prime Minister Dahal has been appearing frustrated with everyone, questions have begun surfacing against himself. Public issues remain to be addressed and development works are yet to gain momentum. Dahal is criticized inside his own party for his power affinity and nepotism. CPNY Center is in a condition where it can no longer contest elections on its own. However, Dahal is not ready to hold himself accountable for these problems. In quite a sharp contrast, he finds everyone else failing to deliver. Lapses on the part of the government and government mechanisms and the subsequent criticisms must be faced by the government leadership. There is no point in sharing complaints and grievances by simply putting the blame on others by the Prime Minister himself. The government claims that only 2% of Nepali nationals are deprived of electricity and 98% have access to power. However, the quality of electricity is limited to urban areas and district headquarters. In absence of reliable electricity, many Nepali nationals have yet to be able to use power without any concerns. Power outages and dim lighting remain an issue in many parts of Nepal. Because of government indifference on investment in infrastructure, many Nepali nationals have not been able to use quality electricity. Electricity is yet to reach several parts of Karnali province. Even in those areas with access to electricity, the consumers are not entirely out of darkness. The lighting is dim in mountainous and hilly districts with regular power outage. Cooking food with electricity costs 40% cheaper than with liquefied petroleum gas or LPG. However, with regular power outages, residents of rural areas are compelled to use cooking gas instead of induction stoves, even while having access to electricity. The industrial and agricultural sector shares similar grievances regarding the lack of quality electricity. Failure in managing the balance between annual production and demand has created challenges for the Nepal Electricity Authority (NEA) to sell excessive power during monsoon and address local demand during winter. Around 3,000 megawatt electricity is produced in Nepal during monsoon, which is 80% more than the demand of 1,900 megawatt. However, only one-third of the demand is produced during winter, meaning Nepal has to import around 600 megawatt from India. While there is no balance between production and demand, the quality of electricity faces questions as well. The NEA, which had generated 14.5 billion rupees by selling 1.62 billion units of electricity to India during last monsoon, had imported electricity worth 19 billion rupees previous winter. Therefore, it is imperative to develop infrastructures including transmission lines and charging stations to curb the import of petroleum products and increase domestic consumption of electricity. Ensuring quality electricity for the domestic demand is the best solution to ensure economic prosperity as well. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked in several provinces how reliable is the electricity supply in their area. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
हल्का तार हल्लिँदाखेरिमा पनि बत्ती जान्छ अब अफिसमा जानकारी गराए कसैले रेस्पोन्स गर्दैन
भरपर्दो छैन गइरहन्छ बत्ती आउने जाने गरिरहन्छ
भरपर्दो छैन जति बेला नि लाइन जान्छ जति बेला नि चाहिँ त्यो अवरोध भइरहेछ
भोल्टेज पुग्दैन आउने जाने के ठेगानको छैन कहिले हामीहरूले चाहिँ नि फ्रिजकोमा राखेको सामानहरू पनि त्यसले पनि समस्या हुन्छ
पानी आयो भने पनि बत्ती जान्छ हावाहुरी आयो भने पनि बत्ती जान्छ के भरपर्दो छ
चाहिएको बेलामा एसी नै चल्दैन अब यसलाई भरपर्दो भनौँ कि नभनौँ
घरमा प्रयोग हुने विद्युतीय उपकरणहरू एकपछि अर्को चलाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ विद्युत झर्ने मिटर झर्ने समस्या छ
Sports News.
Nepal have secured a 3-run win over Namibia at the Triangular T20 International Series. In the match played at the Tribhuvan University International Cricket Grounds in Kantipur today, hosts Nepal were put to bat where they posted 180 runs for the loss of 8 wickets. Kushal Malla top scored for Nepal as he remained unbeaten at 55. Arif Sheikh added 31 runs and Gulshan Jha scored 26. Ben Shikongo was the pick of the Namibia bowlers with 3 wickets. Jack Brassel had 2 scalps, while Ruben Trumpelman, Jan Nicole Lofty-Eaton and Bernard Shaw shared a wicket apiece. In reply, Namibia were restricted to 177 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. Skipper J.J. Smith top scored with 50 runs, while Jan Freiling added 37. Karan Kesi, Sompal Kami and Deependra Singh Airi picked 2 wickets each for Nepal, while Avinash Bora had 1 scalp. The Rhinos will next play the Netherlands tomorrow. FIFA World Cup qualifiers between Nepal and Bahrain, previously slated to be played in Nepal on 21st March, will no longer be played in Nepal. Asian Football Confederation AFC decided not to hold the match in Nepal because of the poor condition of the playing field of the Dashat Stadium. Issuing a notice today, the National Football Governing Body, All Nepal Football Association ANFA, has said that due to various sporting and other activities being hosted at the only international stadium in Nepal and considering the time constraints for pitch maintenance, the condition of the stadium pitch has been deemed unsatisfactory for the qualifier. ANFA has also shared its deep regret with the ardent followers of the beautiful game regarding the home match against Bahrain not being held in Nepal. Meanwhile, while sharing its apology, ANFA has said that it views the situation as an opportunity to voice for the construction of a new football stadium in Nepal. ANFA added that it hoped this event served as a catalyst for progress in Nepal's football infrastructure, ensuring such occurrences are avoided in the future. The home fixture between Nepal and Bahrain will be relocated to an alternative venue outside the country, the details of which will be announced shortly. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.